Hello, everybody, and welcome to Theology 101. Welcome to our Friday series where we are looking at pictures of faith from Hebrews chapter 11. Today we will look at the story of Jephthah. Jephthah lived before Samson's time, but is listed after Samson in Hebrews chapter 11 because his story is not as familiar. During the time of Judges, there were four nations who were enemies of Israel: Canaanites, Midianites, Ammonites, and Philistines. Gideon fought against the Midianites, Barak fought against the Canaanites, Samson fought against the Philistines, and Jephthah fought against the Ammonites. Because of Israel's idolatry, God allowed the Ammonites to attack Israel at Gilead. So the leaders of Gilead panicked and looked for military help. So they go to a very unlikely person, Jephthah. We need a little background to understand why Jephthah was an unlikely leader. First, he was the son of a prostitute, and his brothers kicked him out of their home. His father's name was Gilead, which is also the area Jephthah was born. Some scholars say that this may indicate that his mother was so promiscuous that his father was unknown, since he could have been any man from Gilead. Out on his own, Jephthah became a vagabond, and he joined up with some thugs and climbed up the ladder of power and became like a mafia boss. He must have had a reputation that he could fight well, because when the leaders of Gilead were trying to figure out what to do with the Ammonites, they came to Jephthah. Jephthah will use this as an opportunity for himself. This will be a theme in Jephthah's life. He was always looking to negotiate the best deal for himself. Jephthah says that if he helps Gilead fight against the Ammonites, that he must become their head or main leader. So the leaders of Gilead agree, and now Jephthah uses his negotiating skills with the Ammonites. Let me summarize what he says to the king of the Ammonites. He asks the king, "Why are you attacking Israel?" The king of the Ammonites responds, "Because you took our land." Jephthah responds, "Here's 3 reasons why you're wrong. First, Israel took the Amorites' land, not yours. Second, Israel only fought against you because you started the fight by attacking them first when they were just trying to pass through your land. Third, if this was really your land, then why did you wait 300 years to try to get it back from Israel?" The king of the Ammonites was not buying Jephthah's argument, so now it will be time to fight. At this point, Jephthah would use his negotiating skills with God to make a deal to secure victory over the Ammonites so that he can become the leader of Gilead. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will give the Ammonites into my hand, then whatever comes out from the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the Ammonites shall be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering." Why is Jephthah making this vow with God? Remember that the Israelites worshipped the Ammonites' idols by this time, who received human sacrifices. So even though God forbid human sacrifice, Jephthah reflects the Ammonites' way of thinking. So Jephthah says that he will offer the first person that comes out of the door of his house when he returns from battle. We see that Jephthah did defeat the Ammonites, and as he comes home, we see who comes out of the door. Then Jephthah came to his home at Mizpah, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with tambourines and with dances. She was his only child. Besides her, he had neither son nor daughter. Of all the people to come out of his home, it had to be his only child. Now, some people argue that Jephthah would never offer a human sacrifice, so he doesn't end up killing his daughter. Instead, he dedicates his daughter to the temple, which means that she could not get married. But let me give you a few reasons why I don't think this is the right interpretation. First, why is Jephthah so devastated when his daughter walks out the door? If Jephthah never intended on sacrificing a human, why didn't he just wait until the first animal came out of the door? Second, we see that every year for 4 days, the women of Israel cry over Jephthah's daughter. Why would they spend 4 days crying over her if she never died? And wouldn't that be awkward if you were still alive to have people crying over the fact you never got married?
I'm right here, guys. You don't have to keep crying so much.
Third, according to God's law, a person who was not a priest could not devote his child to the temple. Also, God's law never says that a person who was dedicated to the temple had to remain a lifelong virgin. Jephthah could always redeem his daughter from the temple by paying a price. Why didn't Jephthah just pay some money to allow his daughter to get married and give him grandchildren? Finally, as the son of a prostitute, Jephthah and his descendants up to 10 generations could not serve in the temple, so Jephthah's daughter could not be dedicated to the temple anyway. All this to say that Jephthah thought that sacrificing a human to God was the way he will make sure he will gain victory over the Ammonites and have power in his hometown. He didn't have a problem with sacrificing a human, but he has a problem because he didn't expect his only child to come out his door first. This was why he was so upset. So considering Jephthah's vow and the fact that he did defeat the Ammonites, his daughter honors her father's vow but asks that she can have 2 months to cry with her friends over her virginity, referring to the fact that she never got married. Then after these 2 months of mourning, Jephthah's daughter returned and he offered her up as a burnt sacrifice, just like he said he would. With the death of his daughter, Jephthah figuratively died. Why? Because he did not have any other children. This means that his lineage died with his daughter. With his vow, Jephthah tried to secure his present, but through it, he ends up sacrificing his future. So the question is this: why is his name in Hebrews chapter 11? He is in Hebrews 11 for the same reason Gideon, an idol worshiper, Barak, a coward, and Samson, a rebel, are in Hebrews chapter 11. God saves and uses people because of his grace and their faith in him, and not because of their personal righteousness. Listen, faith does not mean that we will be perfect, but it means that we trust in a perfect Savior. Let us learn from Jephthah and understand the type of God we serve. You don't need to negotiate or manipulate God. He doesn't need you to make promises or vows. He doesn't need you to sacrifice your child because he gives us grace. In fact, God sacrifices his child for us so that we don't need to sacrifice our child for him. All you need to do is to receive the grace that he offers to you through Jesus Christ. You see, every story of imperfect people in Hebrews chapter 11 leads us to our perfect Savior, Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. And if God can save and use somebody as flawed as Jephthah, God can certainly save and use you. If you want to study more about Hebrews chapter 11, I'll leave a link to a recommended resource in the description box below. If you missed the last video about Samson's faith, I'll leave a link here for you to watch. Until next time, see you.